Welcome to DCA Week 5. This is Colin and Steven as usual. So last week we looked at Steven's portfolio first, I believe. I can't
Yeah.
remember now. It doesn't really matter. It's going to be too hard to remember from week to week. So I'll go first and we'll take a look at my portfolio. But before we begin, is there anything you want to comment on for this week?
Yeah. I mean, with the Russia stuff, it's still the markets are still like a little all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
Some things are way up, some things are not doing as well.
Yeah, like the
But
Russian
yeah,
economy.
the Russian economy is doing real bad as planned. But
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see what's in my portfolio. So I only bought 3 things this week. Um, 2 crypto. So one is ADA, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. Bitcoin. We've talked a lot about it. And Shop, which is Shopify. So for those that don't know, Shopify is a huge Canadian e-commerce giant. They are on a lot of the bigger indices now. So if you bought some of the stuff we did last couple of weeks, they would be included. I won't go too much into it, but they've had a history of steady growth and exploded in the last couple of years. They were down a little bit, and I bought mine 2 days ago, but they're down even more now. So for me, it is a good pickup. Their PE ratio was 28.32, is still pretty high, but compared to everything else in the space right now, that is actually not too terrible. So picks up some of it. Of course, $25 doesn't buy you a lot of Shopify. It is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of a share. So it is what it is.
do you have a target price to earnings ratio that you typically aim for?
So a couple years ago, this would probably be in like the 20s or even less, right? Um, most things I like to try to stay under 25, but over the last couple years, things have gone out of control. So uh, I don't even look at the PE too much anymore. I just know that it's high and everything is still kind of high. But when things aren't crazy, 25 and under for they're not quite a tech company, but they're basically operating like one and trading like one. So something under that for that sector would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, they really surged during the pandemic when like people were not shopping in stores anymore. So like Shopify, their platform basically it helps small businesses. It's like they basically give you a small like what they basically give websites to small businesses so that they can sell their stuff online. So when the when the pandemic hit, they soared because e-commerce exploded, especially for those like smaller businesses that rely so much on foot traffic.
And I looked at them once for a little while back, and they're very competitive compared to I don't know. I think Swipe and other payments were sort of trying to do this, but not nearly as robust or successful. Even though Swipe themselves are successful, Shopify just kind of took over space. So yeah, that is my buy. So like I said, I also bought some Bitcoin. We talked a lot about that, so I won't talk about it anymore. The other item I bought this week was Cardano, which is ADA. Um, and it was a favorite, and it's still a favorite among many crypto holders. Um, by market size, they are in the top 10. They've fallen a little bit. Charles Hoskin is the lead on that, and they've been trying to, like many of the other cryptos in this space, the larger ones, they're not trying to be an ETH killer, but they are trying to fix a lot of the problems that Ethereum has. Um, so some people call it ETH killer. I like to think of them as a compliment, but only time will tell to see who comes out on top. So Those are my buys this week. So this is week 5. So we should have had $1,400 for our cost. 1,000 plus 4 for the other 4 weeks. So I'm down a little bit. My TFSA, my stocks are down a little bit. Crypto's up a whopping $3. So not quite holding it there, but at least I'm not down 50% or something like that. So I call it a win when things are super volatile. Okay, I'm gonna throw it over to Steven and we'll take a look at his stuff this week.
Cool. Yeah. So this week I let's look at my pre-buy snapshot. So here we have week 5. So this was right before I did my buy, which I did my buy yesterday. And you can see I was up $15.36. So this week I and my indices were low and my tech was low. So I bought 1 share of my ZCN ETF here, 1 share of the XUU. So ZCN is the Canadian all cap. XUU is, or sorry, this is the ZCN's TSX 200. XUU is a US all cap. And then I bought 1 share of tech.to, which is a Canadian tech ETF. Actually, it's not just Canadian. It's Canadian traded, but it has US companies.
Okay.
And then I bought, I had a little bit left over, so I bought 1 share of the Bitcoin ETF here. Yeah, so nothing crazy, just kind of buying things I already had to even out the differential a little better. And then I also previously had a different one, which was XAW, which was the the all world ETF. But that one was like 60% US stock still. And so I wanted something that was more, like I already have a US stock ETF. So I bought this one last week, VEE. This was an emerging markets one that would focus a lot on like China and Taiwan. And so this week I actually sold the 3 XAW shares I had, and then I reinvested that back into ZCN, tech, and a little bit of Bitcoin again as well. So kind of the same things I already bought, but just yeah, trying to smooth it out a bit there. Yeah, so actually in the end, my weighting is actually even worse out now. But I was looking to have about 25% in ZCN and 25% of XUU and about 10% of my portfolio as VEE. But the shares for this one were a little bit more. And so just the way I was balancing it, I chose to buy other things. But next week I'll probably buy, like the price shouldn't change too much. So it will probably aim to buy probably 2 shares of this one next week. And then we'll just see what else is kind of out based on my weighting after that. But yeah, overall, and then when I sold XAW, I also took a $5 fee for selling it on Questrade. So yeah, that's one benefit of Wealthsimple is that they don't have fees, I think, for selling ETFs. I might be wrong, but I don't think Wealthsimple has fees for that, hey?
No, they don't for buying or selling.
Yeah, so that's one downside of Questrade. The upside of Questrade is that they have access to more investments. You can buy more different things, but
which we will have a guide on in the future, right, Steven?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, so so it should be about $1,400, but minus $5 for the Questrade fee for selling that one ETF. I might just throw an extra $5 into my DCA next week just to make up for that. I tried this week, but they have a minimum transfer of $10, so it wouldn't. And then I have $3.50 in cash, and then there's that extra $1.50 is probably just accounted for in the exchange rate calculation for this one because I'm showing it in Canadian dollars on this sheet here, but it's actually purchased in US dollars. So I just translate the current stock price by the US Canadian exchange rate. So yeah, I'm pretty much even actually, like 55-cent profit overall. I guess minus 445 if you account for that Quest trade fee. But yeah.
Excellent. So I know we put in $100, but let's just say you had $1,000 or $3,000, whatever. Is there a certain share that you're keeping your eye on or really want to buy?
Well, I bought some Nutrien a couple weeks ago, not in this account, and that one is up like 16% right now,
Excellent, amazing.
which is pretty sweet. But another one I bought this week, not in this account, is Magna International.
Okay.
Um,
And what do they
is
do?
it's a car parts manufacturer based in Canada. If you remember Belinda Stronach from politics from, I don't know, a decade ago, maybe a little more, she's notable for having crossed the aisle. I think she was conservative and then became a liberal, or maybe it was the other way around. I can't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, her family owns it. And they supply a lot of car parts to Detroit for the big three automakers, but there's a lot of speculation that as more companies enter the car market that aren't traditional auto manufacturers like Ford and GM and whoever, they'll be more reliant on other producers for car parts. So say like Apple's hired a whole bunch of engineers to probably build a smart car. Apple's not going to have that traditional infrastructure for building car parts. So they'll probably rely on other companies like Magna to supply a lot of those parts for the vehicles. So yeah, so they have like a pretty nice long-term hold appeal, just because, yeah, as the EV market grows, there's an opportunity for them to, really contribute in that space.
Mm-hmm. Until, of course, in the far future where they just make their own car parts because they really vertically integrate everything.
Yeah, Apple will just buy Ford and then
Yeah. Okay. Very good end to week 5. Um, we have a special guest. Oh boy. What is your cat think for picks? Oh, that's 2 paws up, so that's that's good enough for me.
he
Excellent,
thinks I should buy
excellent.
some Fancy Feast shares.
I feel like there's some sort of bias in that, but okay, fair enough, fair enough. Okay, excellent. Week 5, we'll see you guys in week 6. Until then, DCA or something, I don't know. I never know how to end these things. Does she wave?
Oh no, he's the
Oh,
chillest guy
yeah.
you've ever seen.
Nice. Okay, goodbye, guys.